Well, most doctors who work in actual hospitals and medical institutions have to show up to the office. We know that employees are more productive and more efficient when they are working in an in-office environment.
Most doctors, nurses, and frontline workers don't get the luxury of working from home. Real hospitals require real presence. And study after study shows the same thing. Employees are more productive and efficient when they show up in person. Keep that reality in mind because it becomes very important in a moment.
Start with the administration's offer to buy with a mass buyout to federal employees out there. How many do you hope will take it, and by what percentage does the president want to downsize the federal?
What just happened on live television may go down as one of the biggest media cell phones of the year. Michael Strahan, NFL legend turned Good Morning America golden boy, walked into that studio expecting a viral political knockout. Instead, he walked straight into a buzzsaw.
Their promise made and kept by President Trump. He told the American people on the campaign trail that he was going to make our federal government more efficient and productive. And it is a fact that only 6% of the federal workforce here in Washington, D.C. actually shows up.
Strahan had the posture, the confidence, the dramatic buildup. Everything looked perfectly staged for a headline-making gotcha. But across from him sat Karoline Leavitt, Trump's razor-sharp press secretary, and within minutes, the entire script flipped.
Class Americans, our teachers, our nurses, our law enforcement officers who keep this economy working, show up to the office every single day, and President Trump expects that federal employees do this.
Strahan didn't just lose control of the exchange. He got verbally stiff-armed, steamrolled, and slid across the studio turf. Karoline didn't survive the ambush, she dismantled it, reversed it, and made him look like he wandered into the wrong league entirely.
Most doctors who work in actual hospitals and medical institutions have to show up to the office. We know that employees are more productive and more efficient when they are working in an in-office.
It started with what Strahan clearly believed was a trap question. President Trump's proposal to offer buyouts to roughly 2 million federal employees. In legacy media terms, that's automatically framed as cruel or authoritarian. Karoline didn't hesitate.
As presented in that memo last night, directs federal agencies to come up with a return-to-work policy for their agencies. And if federal bureaucrats in this city don't like that, well, guess what? They can resign from their positions, and this administration is offering them 8 months of pay. They will be paid through September just to simply resign from their positions. If 5 to 10% of the federal workforce resigns, it will save taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. And so, look, we want people to return to work. We have beautiful federal office buildings here in Washington, D.C. that American taxpayers are paying for. They should be used. That's what the American people.
She explained it plainly. No mass firings. No forced removals. A voluntary offer, 8 months of paid leave for anyone who chose to step away. If you don't like the new expectations, you can resign and still get paid through September.
To the funding part, the White House putting a freeze on federal assistance program. The federal judges put the freeze temporarily on hold, saying the government itself doesn't have the full scope of the programs that are going to be impacted. So what's your response to?
Then came the stat that changed everything. Only about 6% of federal workers in Washington, D.C. actually show up to the office. Let that sink in. Taxpayers fund office buildings, utilities, security, and maintenance, while most employees stay home.
As I addressed in my first press briefing yesterday, this is a temporary pause on federal assistance and grants so that the Office of Management and Budget here in the Executive Office of the President can review all federal assistance that is going out.
Meanwhile, America's real workforce, teachers, nurses, law enforcement, shows up every single day. No Zoom option. No pajama shifts. No excuses. Karoline called it exactly what it is. Taxpayer-funded complacency.
I repeatedly stated yesterday, individual assistance such as Medicare payments, Social Security benefits, welfare, food stamps, and Medicaid assistance will not be impacted by this federal pause. So the American people should not worry. If they're receiving individual assistance from the federal government, they will continue to receive.
Strahan tried again. What about doctors? He asked. They work from home too. Karoline didn't miss a beat. Doctors can't examine patients through FaceTime. They can't run labs from a kitchen table. Medicine isn't remote, It's real.
There will be no more federal funding for DEI programs. There will be no more federal funding for the Green New Deal, which is an order from the previous administration that President Trump has rescinded. It would make no sense for American taxpayers to pay for policies that this administration is no longer implementing.
Her answers landed because they were grounded in reality. This wasn't about punishment. It was about accountability. If taxpayers fund your salary, showing up isn't optional. Radical concept. Apparently.
The Medicaid system was disrupted across the country yesterday. Online portals, they went down in response to this freeze action. So should that not have happened? And is that a sign of a chaotic rollout?
By now, Strahan was off balance. So he pivoted to the emotional angle, federal assistance programs. He suggested Trump was freezing aid to vulnerable communities. The implication was clear: cruelty, chaos, heartlessness.
Absolutely not. And I would like to address that. We were made aware of that immediately, and we amended the problem immediately. The Medicaid program is back up and running on.
Karoline shut it down in seconds. No reckless cuts. No heartless slashing. Just a temporary pause, an audit, to see where billions of dollars were actually going. Essential programs?
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Let's go to another topic. We have a lot to cover here. President Trump's nominee for Secretary of Health and Human Services has his confirmation hearing this morning. Well, his cousin, Karoline Kennedy, she's speaking out against him, calling him, quote, unqualified with dangerous and willfully misinformed views on vaccines, and that he is a predator. And what's
Social Security safe. Medicare safe. Medicaid safe. SNAP safe. Clip 13. What was paused? Waste. Ideological nonsense. Programs nobody asked for, including taxpayer money funding a study on shrimp running on tiny treadmills. Yes, real money. Your money. That's not compassion. That's absurdity.
Reject those comments fiercely. RFK Jr. is widely respected. He's a great man who has dedicated his life to public service and to research. He is pro-science, and he is committed to making this country healthy.
Strahan's final swing was RFK Jr., citing Karoline Kennedy's criticism. Karoline Leavitt didn't flinch. She laid out RFK Jr.'s decades of public health work and said what many Americans already feel: questioning broken institutions isn't dangerous. Blind obedience is.
Campaigned alongside President Trump, and they spoke that motto to tens of millions of Americans across the country who clearly believed in it. America is one of the richest yet unhealthiest.
By the end, Strahan had nothing left. He came in hunting a viral takedown and walked out having been schooled. The media hates figures like Karoline Leavitt not because she's wrong, but because she doesn't fold. Truth and confidence beat media theatrics every single time.
Our obesity rates, our autism rates, we should be performing far better. Our people should be much healthier. And that's all that RFK Jr. is trying to do. And so President Trump stands strongly behind him, and we look forward to watching him shine on Capitol Hill today in his confirmation hearing, just like all of the other nominees that President Trump has appointed to their respective agencies and departments.
And the real reason this moment exploded online isn't Michael Strahan's stumble, it's what it exposed. Corporate media no longer controls the narrative. They rely on scripted outrage, emotional traps, and safe talking points. Karoline Leavitt walked in with facts, clarity, and zero fear of confrontation. That's why this exchange hit so hard. It wasn't chaos. It was discipline versus performance. And every time those two collide, the one grounded in reality wins. I prefer this response.
Start with the administration's offer to buy with a mass buyout to federal employees out there. How many do you hope will take it, and by what percentage does the president want to downsize the?
This is why moments like this make the media nervous. It's not about left versus right, it's about control. When someone like Karoline Leavitt refuses to play the script, refuses to apologize for facts, and refuses to be intimidated on live TV, the illusion cracks. Viewers see through it. Trust shifts. And suddenly the gatekeepers don't get to decide what's acceptable anymore. That's why this exchange went viral, and why it won't be the last. The audience is waking up, and the old media playbook isn't working anymore.